This tutorial was brought to you thanks to the supporters on the screen. Check out TAPgiles.com to find more Dreams resources, donate to support my work, or engage my services to get private instruction or help on a project one-on-one. On Twitter, I asked if anyone had any questions, and Masher Buttons is asking how to putt the ball, then repeat where and when the ball stops rolling. I make a ball like that, and this will have some stuff on it, some logic, so let's have a chip. So make the group movable, which means it will fall and stuff, but also the logic and things will move with it as well. So we can have a tag in here, which can be in the center of the ball as well. So I grabbed the gizmo and press triangle so it goes onto one of the dots, and now it's in the center of that ball, because we made the ball on the grid. So let's just call this ball, and we'll have a block, a logic cube with a chip in it as well. Group them up and turn on X-ray mode so that we can see it through the block. And now we can have that open and use this apply to object to apply to the group, just like we did for the ball. And now anything in this chip will apply to the whole group. So I'll put that teleporter, put a teleporter in here, looking for the ball, and now it will match the ball, but now it's colliding. So let's just make it non-collidable and non-visible, like that. So let's also have it point towards the camera. So we'll have a look at rotator, and I'm going to make the front of the chip be the front of the thing, like that. So we'll just move the arrow so that matches, and we'll get the camera position from the global settings, and from here we get the camera transform, which is the position, rotation and scale of the camera, but you can also plug it in as just a position. So we're telling the look at rotator to use the current camera position, so it's going to turn to face us, and then if we move it's going to turn to face us again. And we can turn these up. We can use L1 and square and then type in a load of numbers, press enter, and now it kind of maxes it out. And I'm going to put on stay upright, which may or may not be useful, but now it's staying pretty one-to-one to where our camera is pointing, so we can use that for aiming. And then when we press a button, let's have this controller sensor be remote controllable, and we don't need that or that. And now let's add a force applier to X, and we'll have it with a direction so we can tell it to point away from the camera, like that. So if I remove this wire, it's always pointing towards the camera, which means the force applier is always pointing away from the camera, so the ball is always trying to get away from the camera. Let's have it tied to X, where it'll when we start pressing X, so if we put it in a signal manipulator and use pulse mode, then when we start pressing X, then it will send a pulse, which is a brief signal, so it'll power this for a short amount of time. So if I just tap X now, I'll need to make it more strong. Let's try that. Press X, and it got shoved in that direction, and then X, and it got shoved in that direction. so on. What we can do is say that that can only happen if the ball isn't moving anymore. So you want to know if this ball has stopped moving. So we can use the movement sensor and the velocity and acceleration, probably just the velocity actually. But we can probably use both actually. So if we put that into a calculator, and we put velocity into there, and we put acceleration into there, then they both come in and it's got this wire blend overwrite. So if you hold L1 you can see that. And that means that of all the wires coming in, the value furthest from 0 will be used. And that will set it on the calculator. So if it's more than, or if it's less than some tiny amount, let's just do that for now, then we'll want to do something. So if we open this and use just play time and push it along, you can see kind of at what point we want it to be considered stationary. Let's try giving it some more friction, because we probably don't want a game where you're mainly waiting for it to stop rolling. Yeah, and it rolls to a stop. So we could probably give it a little bit more leeway. But if there's like a hill, so go up the hill, so we could press X, and then like right there it probably stopped enough for it to be considered stationary. So let's just have put it into a text displayer, and if we just edit that and press enter, it'll think that there's text there and be able to display it. So let's try it again, push it up the hill. So it probably didn't get quite low enough because of the acceleration, which is what we want. So let's just test it. Yeah, I think it's because the acceleration is still acting on it and pulling it down, which is good because we don't want it to be considered stationary if it pauses slightly for a moment on a hill. So now but also it's probably wise to wait some time when it's stationary to make sure nothing else is going to hit it or something. So I'm just going to have a timeline that's around a second long, and that is going to be powered when it's stationary and also rewound when it's stationary. So if we watch this timeline now, open it to the screen and see. Oh, so now it's stationary, and it's got to be stationary for this amount of time before it does stuff. So we'll just put some gadgets on here, and that will be when it's stopped, basically. So I'll have a mover with full damping and no strength and no speed, so that when you have speed, the strength is the amount of effort it puts into getting up to that speed, and damping is how much effort it puts into slowing down to that speed. So if you have 0 speed and full damping, then it will stop it and lock it in place after this amount of time. So now let's watch that. So it's going to slow down. And then completely freeze. And that would be when we're allowed to do this. So I'm just going to up that so that it starts a bit earlier. Yeah, so I reckon around there. So that when it's just kind of wobbling in place, it will start doing this. Cool, and it's locked in place, and you can still see it rotating though, because this only affects the movement. So we'll have another one, a rotator, that does the same thing. Let's just use L1 and right to zoom in and get this fine-tuned. And this can do the same to reduce it down to 0 rotation. So when it activates, it'll lock it in and it won't rotate either. And then when we hit it with this, we'll like turn this timeline off for a moment so that it can work again. We could have this in a chip, and we can turn this chip off when we hit it, so that it's no longer affected by the stabilization stuff. But also we want to allow this only when it's stabilized. So let's have like a switch through an AND gate so that we'll turn it off and we'll turn it on in here. Make sure it hangs over the end, because this will play all the way to the end, and then anything still lit up will still work. So this will be allow shot, and then we'll put that through an AND gate. So if we're allowed to shoot and we just pressed X, then we can do this stuff. Let's try that. So pressing X does nothing until now, and now I can shoot. And does nothing until it stabilizes, and then I can shoot again, and so on. So I can do that. And if we put this controller sensor in the ball and make it possessable, then we'll get the default camera behavior. So if I go in play mode now, the camera's going to follow the ball, but you can see as it rolls around, rewind, if you watch as it rolls around, we're actually moving up and down because it's using the center of the object as like a reference point for the camera. So if we adjust this to 50% and we put this chip into the center of the ball, then it will use the actual center of the ball as the focus. So let's go in here, use L1 and triangle on the ball so that the grid uses the ball as the reference, and then put this chip in the center, triangle to lock it in. Cool. So now even though it's rolling around, we're staying steady. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something new. Go to patreon.com/TAPgiles to get 5 hours of tutorials early for $3. Here's a preview of what you can learn if you choose to become a supporter.